Welcome to the latest episode of The Altar, where naturally I'm joined with technical difficulties today, and we had to start way fucking late. But I've got Ben, I've got Yimra, and we've got our special guest today, Fonzi. How are you doing today, Ben?
Oh, fantastic as always.
Fantastic as always. Good
Yep.
stuff. So, just because I don't want to waste too much fucking time here, I was talking to Fonzi. What was it? It was last week or 2 weeks ago about
Yeah, it
uh
was like I think right before you recorded the previous episode. So it
Yeah,
was like
with
Monday or
with
Tuesday
with
last week.
Gary. So it was about a week or so ago. But he was talking because Fonzie's. I'm gonna let him explain. Actually, well, look, he's a vegan. He's an anarcho-capitalist. And I was very interested in that he was like, oh yeah, like I think of like a moral consistency was the term you used, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, moral
I think they're
consistency.
they're morally compatible and yeah.
Oh yeah, so like basically, I was very interested in the idea that I wanted to talk about it from like the anarchist vegan perspective and all that, and just to make people who are ANCAPs mad. I'm like, well, if it's my property, I can do whatever I want. No, you know what? Let's hear it out. Okay, so first things first. Obviously, Fonzie, you've listened to the show before.
Right.
We want you to do your adventure into anarchy, which is my official trademark copyrighted shit now. Everyone uses that
Adventure in
term,
Anarchy.
so
Yeah, sure.
give it to us.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've pretty much always been some like flavor of anarchist because even when I was like 12, 13 years old, when I was getting into like, the music that I was, listening to that wasn't just fed to me from, MTV or whatever I happened to hear on the radio was punk music and anti-authoritarian music. And some of it was just kind of that like angry teenager type of shit. But started listening to a lot of like political anarchist punk rock from like England in the 70s and shit that actually had like an anarchist movement behind it and shit. And so I was exposed to that from when I was a teenager, but it was sort of like a center anarchist, not like with any labels. But my local punk scene was very like ANCOM and anarcho-socialist, and so like when I was a teenager and like going into college years, I was more like centered slash left anarchist and really sympathetic to socialism. But a buddy of mine who was a buddy from elementary school who I just stayed in contact with, he recommended that I look at some like Thomas Sowell videos on YouTube and you know research libertarianism and stuff because he was a like a Republican and college Republican when he went to college and shit and majored in economics. So
Oh
he
God.
saw some of my ideals of like anti-authoritarianism, but also like individual like accountability. He's like, well, this looks like it's more compatible with your worldview. And then I read a bunch of that shit, watched a lot of like lectures on, Mises.org and all that stuff, and just sort of got into it and was on Tumblr like yeah back in 2008 and shit. I remember I was like for Ron Paul.
2008.
Yeah,
Let's.
yeah. I learned about Tumblr from like YouTuber like influencers like the vloggers that were like back then and stuff. I remember they
Oh.
started using it because it was like just a new trendy website, and so I probably signed on like a year after it got started.
I gotta
And
say, new
so
trendy website, and it's
yeah,
all
Oh,
downhill from there.
yeah,
oh
no, that
God.
was the great part is that they all got fucking pushed off of that shit like almost right away, most of them, and so it just became like a fucking playground. And I saw the rise of like all of this like before the term SJW came around or anything. I mean, I would call them racist anti-racists because that just seemed the most like logical thing to me is that these like horde of people who are anti-racists and but they were very clearly very racist.
I'm
So
anti-racist.
yeah, but but yeah, so that I've been on Tumblr that this whole time with this whole culture war has been popping off and done a bunch of stupid cringy shit
Mhm.
throughout the years and uh yeah, and then so went from kind of teenage rebellious anarchist to kind of socialist sympathetic anarchist. I told you last week I had a fucking Che Guevara wallet, uh unironically, which I didn't even see the irony at the time, right? So it was, but looking back, that's one
Well,
of the
it's
most
good to
hilarious
know that you're
things
on the
on
correct
the
side
planet.
of anarchy now.
Seriously.
Wink,
Yeah.
wink, nudge, nudge. To the piss. I
But
like. I normally wouldn't make that comment like you're on the right side of anarchy because like my actual belief is that really once anarchy is achieved in like 1,000 years or whatever long it's gonna be, Like it'll probably be
No
some
anarchist should
overlap.
respect Che anyway. Not even a fucking left
Oh yeah,
anarchist,
no.
right?
What I'm saying is, I'm making little comments about how you're on the correct side as being
Yeah,
an
yeah.
anarcho-capitalist now, just because Yimra. I don't know how many Yimra's followers listen to this, but they're like a lot of them are left leaning, and I get mad every time I say this
They're
type of
welcome
shit.
to
So I
come
just
on the
mention them.
show and defend their points, but they never
Dude,
do.
yeah, Fonzie, that was the thing. Do you listen to the audio only, or were you listen to any video? I
Like
remember
the
listening to
video of the podcast.
with the when Marcel was on and we're talking about why
Yeah.
ANCAPs are better than ANCOMs. Did you watch the video or did you listen to just the audio?
I watched the video. Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's why I should have done it for the video too. But the end of the audio one, my little outro, I asked, I'm like, any ANCOMs upset about this? Hit me up. You can come on. We'll do an episode and I'll label it why ANCOMs are better than ANCAPs. And I've yet to hear anything. So
Right, because
I
it's
don't know.
just like about the topic of
Because no,
discussion,
I'll
not
gladly
about
I'll
like a
gladly have an
statement of
ANCOM
fact or
on
anything.
and talk about it because it's not factual. Like everyone can disagree all day about whatever until we get into it, right? It hasn't,
Right.
and
Yeah.
anarcho-communism hasn't been tried, but neither is and Capistan has not been achieved. So, anyways, let's get. Like I said, I was going to waste time, and I went and digressed here. So, all right. So you are going to be referencing Rothbard in respect to why we should have moral consistency with animals. So just you've had like a week or so to think about what you're gonna say. So I'm just gonna
Yeah.
let you free flow, baby. Go for it. Give it to us.
Yeah. Well, I mean, uh, well, all Austrian economists in some way talk about property and individual rights and why man has individual rights. And of course, Mises is the famous one for having human action. And Rothbard improved on that with a lot of his books, and specifically, he kind of laid out a moral framework for anarcho-capitalism with the ethics of liberty. But he's referencing a bunch of ideas that go back to fucking Bastiat and a bunch of other people. But it's all the same idea. It's basically, man acts, and he acts because he has reason to justify his actions in some way. He ranks his actions in order of priority, and therefore, what he does with those actions, he has ownership over his body, and so what he does with those actions, he has ownership over those actions. If he homesteads land, now he has property. Bing bang boom, we have property rights, we have society, we have anarcho-capitalism. We can all justify
I was
that
shaking my
based
head at
off of
Jimro's dress
Should
change. I just shook my head at
yeah.
him, not you. So just
We
okay.
want
Continue. Sorry.
we want to
Sorry, it's
take a
very
journey
hot
into
in my
Vice
room right
City.
now. So
Yeah,
I
I
need
bet.
to. Sorry, I just this Fonzie's on. I'm just warning you. I don't know what to tell you. Keep going. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. No, yeah. So that's how we justify property rights is man's reason and man's the actions that man takes based off of reason. And back then, in the Rothbard days and in the Mises days and everything, they're like that separates us from animals because animals don't act with reason. And in some ways, I mean, it's very true that they don't act with reason comparable to man, but they do have reasons and they have agency and they have desires and reactions to things that are based off of more than just pure instinct alone. And like, for example, cows mourn when their young are taken away from them. Pigs are famously very intelligent as well. And so not only so you can kind of be consistent in this idea of natural rights with humans and come to a conclusion that animals also could deserve some sort of moral consideration for their degree of reason. So you wouldn't give animals property necessarily because or they don't really have the reason
The
to
cows can't pay
conceptualize.
me.
uh, yeah, they can't pay, and they don't have the reason to conceptualize property in the same way. I mean, like wolves, I guess, in some way, like a wolf pack, and wolves have like a territory in some ways, and that's like a very real, like biological, like imperative that they have to protect their territory and things like that. And so yeah, there's various ways that we can justify degrees of rights based off of the degrees of reason they have, and even like moral vegans would say that it's actually consistent to eat bivalves even though they're animals, like mollusks and shit, because they don't have any kind of sensory. What am I trying to think of right now?
What is a
Fucking
bivalve? What's that?
bivalve, like mollusks, and like the very like fucking they're very
I
fucking
don't know.
simple
I don't know
creatures.
anything. I don't know what you're saying. This is all
Mollusks,
gibberish.
like
They're
they're
like
fucking very
shellfish.
they're very
Shelf.
simple.
Okay.
They're very
Okay.
simple sea
Seafood.
creatures.
Yeah.
Not all seafood, just
Yeah.
this
No.
very very
There's
specific
very
type of
simple.
seafood that does they don't have a nervous system or any kind of like sense of self in that sort of way, and so they don't experience suffering technically, right? They don't experience
okay.
they wouldn't have any
Must be
like
nice.
senses to experience suffering. So technically they're an animal, but you don't inflict suffering upon them in any sort of way by eating them. So they're technically a vegan, like like compatible animal to eat. Even though most vegans wouldn't eat them, just kind of because it's kind of like an easier, simple cutoff to just be like, no animals, motherfucker, not to explain. Well, these bivalves that nobody knows what the fuck I'm talking about.
Yeah, I was
It's like-
dude, I was so.
Exactly.
It's
So
like the
nobody
vegan
fucking-
equivalent of like trying to explain the difference between like pedophilia and ephebophilia. It's like to the
Yeah,
wrong
it's just-
crowd. It's just like, who fucking
Fuck
cares?
off.
Like, just don't fuck kids.
Yeah.
And it's like, yes.
Exactly. So it's just like, people are just like, fucking, and most vegans probably wouldn't even know about the bivalve argument, just the most pedantic ones. and the most-
Bisexual valves.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
bisexual.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Is it
know
something
all
twink
about the
related?
valves.
Why do you look behind you as
We'll
if
get
like
it. We'll get into twink
Is
stuff
this
later.
twink?
Yeah, no,
Twinks?
calm down.
Is this twinks around?
Twinks where?
man has to worry
Buy
about
twink
the
valves?
twink in his shed.
We're in danger, twinks.
We're dangerous twinks. Yeah, Paul
But-
Revere coming through town. The twinks are coming. The twinks are coming in
And
more
that's-
ways than one.
That's basically it. I looked at it. Well, and the thing is, this all came second. Like I went a vegetarian back in my like lefty punk rock days and stuff, and I just kind of stuck with it. It just became something that I just naturally fucking did, and then I just kind of over the course of discovering libertarianism and anarcho-capitalism and natural rights kind of stuff, I was like, you know what, this kind of sort of applies in the same sort of ways. And it was funny because I'd hear moral vegans argue about this, and they'll take that route of kind of like getting people to acknowledge their care about humans, and then sort of backwards justify it with animals and try to reason it, and it's all like very like using a bunch of like philosophical like what is it hypothetical situations and shit like that, and it's just a very like it's not a very good way to argue. It's not very convincing, and it's just very painful to go through. I don't like it at all. I don't really even give a shit about like arguing against non-vegans, like to convince them that they should be or anything. Like I said, it's just something that I found was compatible with the two worldviews, and I said, hey, this is pretty fucking interesting. Natural rights works for animals, it works for humans, but it's not the same degree. But the thing is, it does work to the best degree for the animals that we actually do eat, right? For cows and pigs specifically, but even chickens, like they're some of the more intelligent like animals around, and we respect some animals that are about the same intelligence, like dogs, right? We fucking love dogs, and there's not really a whole substantial amount of difference between pigs and dogs. And I don't know how delicious dogs are. I never tried a dog. Pigs are delicious.
Ask the Venezuelans.
From my
get
memory.
Enrique up in here real quick.
Oh,
Ask
God.
him how dog tastes.
He's a fake Venezuelan. He's a Colombian who poses as a Venezuelan for money.
Okay.
You guys are gonna just start a fucking riot in the notes
Yeah.
for this later.
I freaked
fine.
out for a second because I heard a USB disconnect. I'm like, please do not be my internet. Like, I was like, wow. Yeah. Oh, so FYI, if my shit drops out, just keep going.
Okay.
By the way, don't just
Matt,
be like,
this
"Alright,
is-
so well, Matt's gone."
So sorry to throw in technical notes. I've been taking some few notes. So around like 5 minutes into this, my window popped out for a second. So like I fixed it. Most of this podcast, 95% of it is like within the recording window, but like a little bit popped out. And then also, Fonz, you're good, but
Sometimes a
around
little
like
bit pops out.
yeah, exactly. It just fucking happens. But like around like
Yeah.
the 12:55 mark, a little bit, Fonz, I think it's your AI program was like kind of glitching a tiny
Glitching.
bit.
Oh, okay.
It was like flashing
was-
blue. Like now it's good, but yeah. So
Yeah. No, I
technical
noticed
shit
that it would
aside,
happen sometimes.
No,
And
if
I
it's
figure it's
like a
the
glitched
end of
right
the
now, but I
podcast.
mean, like that's not a big deal.
It's very
like,
minor,
If it's like
yeah.
out for like 30 seconds, it might be a bigger deal. But I mean, the audio is still good, and people are watching it. You could suffer with us. So going back
Yeah.
on to basically the comparisons here with like human like animals and stuff is like the central point is like the nervous system and they have some agency,
Yeah,
right? Am I correct?
agency, the capacity to use reason, in a form of reason to carry out their actions, right? Because that's kind of
Okay.
what Rothbard, talks about, and what Mises and all the other natural rights guys talk about, and even from a religious like aspects, Thomas Aquinas is like one of the older sources of kind of these ideas, is that even if you're Christian and religious, that God gave us reason, and therefore we can use our reason to justify laws, and justify what's just, and what's unjust, and that sort of thing. And so animals do have an element of reason, and a kind of a degree of reason and agency, so it's, again, not equal rights to man, because they don't have our reason and our agency, but they have a degree of it, and so a degree of rights is something I think that is compatible.
To be to be the guy that compares animals to children, real quick, which is gonna be me. I was just thinking about like the thought, like like wild animals or whatever, like they don't know, like they just fucking attack because they're scared, they don't understand, right? But like a
Mhm.
trained dog, for example, knows not to bite. Most dogs, anyway, if you're training them, like, hey, just guard the house, don't bite anybody and stuff. It's kind of, you can kind of relate it to raising children if we want to go if we want to go that route.
Right.
Like,
Well,
your kids don't know shit. Like my kid slaps the shit out of me right now, and I tell him no, but he
right.
thinks it's funny. Like he understands. He's like, he
Yeah.
just thinks it's funny. Like he'll fucking smack the shit out of me, and then my other youngest is imitating him and smacks the shit out of me. But I'm like, hey, that's not nice, and I put on a little pouty face, and then he stops. He's like, okay, no, it's not funny anymore. So
It's
some
because they know
understanding
you
there.
talk shit about them on Facebook.
Yeah. How
Minorly.
dare you?
Oh yeah,
Lovingly,
that's right.
lovingly.
That's right.
Get
Yeah,
longer
lovingly. No,
legs.
yeah, I just did a video where like we're at the park with my kids the other day, and he was like he's pointing ball like it's my 1 and some month-year-old. I don't even. I'm a bad dad. Whatever. Who cares?
He was born a while back. It's okay.
Yeah,
He's
at
alive
least a
now.
year old. I know that. I remember celebrating a birthday for him, just a one. But he was like, he was like chasing after a ball, and I just like was walking after him, like, dude, your little legs are gonna take forever. I'm like, you know what? This would be a great video. So in that time to where I got to the ball, I opened up Snapchat, and I'm like, look at this, like racing my kid for this ball right now. It's like not even a competition. I went to go pick it up. I looked at it. I'm like, get longer legs. And it was a hit.
It
Instant
was
classic.
great. It was
That's
hilarious.
amazing. It's a
So
And then
beautiful moment in your child's life.
Yimro, you got something?
So, question, Fonzie. The Impossible Whopper, thoughts?
Actually, valid.
It's, well, I mean, the Whoppers in general are really not that great, but it's not bad for a fucking Whopper. Like,
I was gonna
it's
say for a
it,
non-meat Whopper.
yeah, it does the job.
All right.
I thought it
The
tasted pretty
impossible the impossible fucking the ground like beef shit that you can buy in the grocery store. That shit's actually really fucking good.
Is it like
You
just
like
beans and shit? Like, what is it?
It's
I
plant-based.
forget what the fuck yeah, it's got some plants. No, sometimes it's like beets and other shit, but I don't know what the fuck they make it out of, to be honest.
I
So
thought
I
you were
actually-
vegan,
I just know
'cause
it's
beans are
delicious.
kind of meaty. Like you have a thing of beans, you're like, this vaguely is meat-like, sort of. If you're high on,
What kind of beans
something.
are you eating, man?
I am actually
ones.
kind of a fan of the Beyond brand. They do it's like a
Beyond-
sausage that's actually like really good, especially on the grill.
Yeah, they also have like a fucking ground beef like cube or whatever that you can buy as well. And yeah,
And
I
also,
made burgers
I
from
gotta
both of them.
so I'm gonna go on a
And I'm a
tiny
cook, in case your audience doesn't know too. I'm a cook. I actually cook in a vegan restaurant, and so I like making vegan food.
Yo,
Hell yeah, dude.
Link me address so I can.
So
I can visit
then
there
you'll
one day on
probably
Profit.
you can probably relate to this, but have you ever like I listen to people all the time and like to some degree there is some merit in being wary of especially like fake meats or lab grown meat or like impossible whatever because like like people should ask like what's in my food? Where does it come from? These are
Yeah,
questions they should be engaging more often. But like especially when it comes to this, like they don't pay attention to like where their like actual meat comes from, like factory farms and like what's in an actual Whopper or like an actual McDonald's burger. And it's like, listen, all right, fine, be wary of the impossible, be wary of the beyond shit. But like also like if you want to talk about like chemicals and hormones in your food, like look at what they're fucking putting in like factory meat. Like it's fucking awful. And if
Anabolic
you,
Well,
steroids in the
that's
chicken nugget.
that's
but
what's
they
so
don't.
funny to me about the whole like soy boy like
Yeah,
meme.
exactly. Because
It's
like yeah, I love the jokes, but like if you look at it, like it's like actually, if your concern, especially is like estrogen
estrogen
soy or whatever it is, yeah, exactly. Look at like comparison between like Beyond Meat and then like actual meat you get at the store, like
or
that's
milk.
or
Just
milk.
milk is
Yeah.
tons of milk is
Oh my
tons of
god.
Also, that
estrogen.
whole estrogen thing with the soy is so fucking stupid because it's not even like the same kind of estrogen that gives you
Exactly.
zits.
Yep. Yeah,
Exactly.
you
It's
know,
like just
it's
Explain
phytoestrogen.
these then. Explain them.
so that's just because you've been thinking about men
That's
too
just
often.
because so you
Indeed.
can feed your kids, Matt. That's natural body
Yeah.
process.
Fair,
So
fair.
father's development is what's going
Yeah.
on.
Hmm.
Yeah, that argument's ridiculous. Like, oh yeah, that's like, well, we touched the estrogen. It's like, well, you don't even know what's in the shit you're eating right now as a regular meat eater. So,
And then I'm
nope,
sorry. Go ahead.
no, you can go. You're
Okay.
good.
I was gonna say also it's like the people who are like, and some of these people are like hard workout bros, and then I'm sure they're aware that you take too much testosterone or anabolic steroids, like you're gonna lose your hair. You
Hmm.
can grow tits out from testosterone or steroid use.
Your balls
There are
shrink.
certain your balls do shrink. They're actually there's like crazy strategies. Nowadays the advancement behind all that stuff's gotten a lot better. So like you'll have you can take a like say SARMs or some type of steroid, then you take something to reduce the likelihood of your balls shrinking. You have to take something for your kidneys and or liver. And then like you eventually like if you
You're
want to
on
do
some
steroids
wild
for
cocktail.
Yeah, you
yeah,
just
you have to do
fucking
basically a
stacking them on
cocktail for
stacks.
like these guys who like weightlifting and they don't want to go the natural route because they're pussies.
Hmm.
The cocktail you'd have to do to prevent your ball shrinking and kidney and like down the road liver failure, like either of those, does involve a cocktail of different drugs and like pills you'd have to take. And the testosterone one is like a really bad, like even for people who are transitioning, you got to be careful with testosterone because you can lose the top portion of your hair. And unless you're trying to go for the buzz cut type beat as you're transitioning, which would be pretty powerful, if Elliot Page wanted to start injecting, testosterone, want to do the buzz cut, listen, he's one of the boys now. He gets to get some wings with the boys, gets a beer, but be careful with the testosterone because this shit,
Certified manlet.
True.
yeah, he can be a certified manlet with us. That's okay. As long as he has wings with the boys.
Trans inclusive reactionary misogyny.
Yeah. Wait, how do you what's the like acronym?
It's TIRM term, I guess. I don't know.
Oh. Yeah, like
I don't see
all
what you're
people who
shit.
transition to becoming a man, we respect you. It's the other way around, I guess. That's the
Join
joke,
us,
right?
brothers. Together we can hate
Yeah.
white women.
If you
Wait
want
a
to be
minute.
a
I
trans
like
dude,
those.
if you want to transition into a dude, you got to be one of the fucking boys
You
and
gotta be one of
just
the
start
fucking
hating women.
boys.
Yeah.
You gotta say the word broad. And
Say
mean it.
broad.
Yeah,
Have a couple
be
beers
with the
with the boy.
bros. Have some wings. Play some COD Warzone with me.
Yeah, we're
Finger each other's buttholes.
that
Typical
too.
exactly.
stuff.
As you do.
Charge those JO crystals.
So there's a little bit more I wanted
Wow, I
to do
haven't heard
here
JL
before we
Crystals
went
so
off
long.
the fucking rails. Is just we'll finish up the animal part. Is like, so right now animals obviously a property. Children are not property. We've talked about that before. So what is the steps you think that usually fuck off, get out of here. So what do you think is like the step forward, like, because in order for the animals to be treated like with like moral consistency, they'd have to stop being treated as property, right? So you were talking about maybe trying to get them as more of like a guardianship type deal, like as like a children
Yeah,
thing, to where you don't actually admit you own them, it's just you take care of them.
right. I mean, yeah, having pets is kind of a different idea, or even just having like land with animals on it. If you're more rural and shit like that, if you just take care of some animals, you have sanctuary or some shit. Maybe like after cows are not being eaten anymore, you still want cows around, right? But like no, mostly people who raise cows are people who raise them to slaughter them and so people can eat them. So you might want some sanctuaries or some shit. And so, it wouldn't be like, this is my cow and I can do what I like with it sort of thing. More of the idea of you know, take care of this cow. I have responsibility over this cow or chicken or whatever the fuck. And so I'm going to take care of it. But it's not like my property to just, abuse however I want. And nobody has any right to say that, I the cow's feelings don't matter. But the funny thing is that this whole like the whole meme with ANCAPs and stuff about animals being property and being being able to just do anything with those animals. I think
Quick
it's a
thing,
great.
not a meme. If
Uh,
animals are property, obviously. That's our general thing. But no,
right,
we
right.
just say it's like if someone like as it stands right now, right? Like in proposed Ancapistan, be like, yeah, you if they're technically your property, so you could torture them, but I would probably not hang out with you if I knew you were fucking torturing dogs and
Right.
cats,
No,
right?
no, yeah, that's but
But
also
everyone
it's
everyone
but
else does that
it's
fucking
memed
thing.
like it's used as a meme against other people just because like it really reveals the inconsistency within their worldview is that they're really outraged by this supposed abuse of dogs or whatever, and just sit there like ignoring an entire industry that just does the most horrific things to billions of animals on a daily basis,
Mhm.
and they don't bat an eye, and they think that vegans are fucking stupid and ridiculous and being just outrageous. But then like you see a dog, well, not the dog though, please, not the dog, because somebody
Yeah.
please save that dog. Let me have a burger too. Let
Yeah,
me get a burger real
as they're
quick.
eating a fucking Whopper and shit.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
with
just
the
like
milk.
it's the
Was that
stupidest
cow
fucking.
milked consensually for
Yeah.
your fucking pumpkin spice, whatever shit you're
I'd
drinking?
be milked consensually. I'll say it.
It was the thing. Could you, in a world where
You
you
got that
like
reason, I
had a
mean,
I
guardianship over
do.
a cow, for example? Like, I guess if you start milking the cow in a backed way, okay, doesn't wanna give me the milk, and then you just
so
back out.
cows, like dairy cows, are kept continuously pregnant, right? They're impregnated over and over and over again
Raped over and over again. Yes.
so that they continue producing milk. So I mean, like yeah, if a cow's got a kid, or if they, because I mean sometimes cows produce too much and they do need to be milked so that they don't like fucking just have engorged udders. Okay, you don't want them udders engorged, and so you need to milk a cow sometimes so you can do it. Like the cow would appreciate it. It would like it, and there's nothing wrong with milking a cow that you have some guardianship over.
So
But if
there
you
was
continuously rape them for your whims and for the milk that she gives, then that's kind
Yeah,
of
this
weird.
is the part Yimro like lost his shit when Marcel brought up because he thought they were literally like actually
Raping
raping
the
the
cow.
animals. Well, it's still
It's like,
raping, like
whoa,
not like going out
people
with
are
pants
raping the
down,
cow.
down.
Wait a
Took me a
fucking
minute to mean
minute.
like insemination. You had to explain insemination. I was like, yo, they like just like
6.
fucking like
It's-
getting another cow and just kind of
yeah.
shoving it there, like giving
so
it
re-
on some shit.
real
So
quick. I
the
just
only
want to
consensual
add.
milking is you'd have to have a woman who'd be okay with being
After
milked
Yimro.
in this version of society. It's just like women just be like, yeah, I'll get milk. Do you want some milk? So we'd have like a consensual lady milk farm. Is that an option? I don't like it,
Run
but
by the cybersmith.
Look, you
run
you
by
can
the
have
cybersmith.
anything consensual in Ancapistan. Okay, that's the whole point.
So real
I
quick,
feel
before
like
we go too far off the
uh,
tangent, I just wanted to add. So I don't know where exactly or what farm it was, but they developed some like automated system that like dairy cows could walk up to it, and when they wanted to be milk, a robot would milk them, and it would take the milk, and
There
it
you
would
go.
like yeah, and
Yeah.
then like the cows would walk
Yeah.
away, and like I think it was like the same farm that had a literal like cow wash, and the cow would step in. And it would get like brushed and washed all over, and like there's like a famous like meme photo. This cow is like getting it like a brush right here, and it's just like, oh yeah, dude. And
It's like a
like,
pit stop, but like washing
yeah,
the cow
literally. And
instead.
it's
after the
like,
cow
why?
car wash, they
Let's
put
just do
wax and
that.
sealant on it.
Exactly. Yeah, you get like that fucking undercarriage blast. Like it's good to go.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there would be plenty of people who would love that job too. Like, what do you mean?
Word.
I just get to wash cows all day? That
Yeah,
Exactly.
sounds
it's like
fucking
you got
cool.
some Rain-X on there, a little bit of tire shine for the hooves.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Spruce them
Little
up.
pine tree around the neck.
And then and with the animal like property stuff as well, like I think it's because we're so disconnected. Like every meat eater, right, is like so
Right.
disconnected from the process. They don't know they really don't know the atrocities that's like going on with a lot of like
Yeah, it's like
how chickens are
whenever
killed.
people kind of want to defend eating animals, they kind of like fall back on the most like bare bones ish meat eating, rather, like, well, hunting is good, and having fresh kill is good for you, and all this stuff. Is like, yeah, but none of you fucking people eat that way. Like, yes, maybe some
Word.
people do. Maybe that one fucking dude from Utah, I forget his blog name, but he's the dude who like LARPs as a Wastelander. Well, I mean, he really does like
Mojave
fucking.
Red.
That's the dude, yeah. But I mean,
God.
he's the real deal in some ways, but sure, whatever. And so maybe that dude, okay, he lives that way, and he can kind of has a leg to stand on to speak that way about eating meat. But like most of the rest of these motherfuckers who are like defending like meat eating that way, it's like you guys don't eat that way. It's like you even agree, you will freely agree that like factory farms are fucking terrible and horrible, but like at the same time you use them every day and shit. It's like, well,
It's a point
you
of
know,
conversation for them and nothing else. Like that's it.
yeah, exactly. They'll be like, yeah, of course it's bad, and yeah, it is bad, and sure, whatever. Like that's
Sure, yeah, whatever.
fine. Like I don't
Sure,
really
you're
give a
white.
You're
shit.
about to go like neck deep. Like, yeah, eating meat's bad. Anyways, Darla, back up a little bit, huh?
Oh, God.
It would be- yeah. Okay, so now I think we like covered it, and any ANCAP listens to this is gonna be upset. Like, well, no, like I don't want to do moral consistency because of the property, blah blah blah, whatever. I don't care. We've heard what Fonzie
Yeah.
has to say about it,
Mhm.
and
Simple
I like it.
ideas.
Yeah, we don't piss off
Well-
our own viewer base. What's the fucking
But the thing is,
point?
like, I don't even own animal because because like the whole taking care of it, like I don't really want to take care of an animal. I can barely take care of myself. Like all my resources are diverted into taking care of my children. Okay, like it's
Right.
like I let myself go. I finally got my hair cut because my wife told me to do it, so she's managing
Nice
me.
fade,
I'm back
asshole.
to the kids. We're good. So it's like
So
I'm like
you did
but
that on purpose then.
Yes, unfortunately.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
Damn, you know what? Fuck you. You know what? I'm gonna go to a no-kill shelter and adopt a bunch of. I'm just kidding. Could you imagine?
Oh my God.
That was the one. Yeah, it was after I got blocked by that one chick. I posted that. I made that post. Like, if one more person compares animals to children, I'm going to a no-kill shelter and adopting all the kittens. And then I think Garrett, friend of the show, it added on to it. It's like, and what happens next will warm your heart. It's like, no, if you're a psychopath, yeah, it would absolutely warm your heart. So now to get into the real issues here, Fonzie, what do you think is the most nutritious coochie out there? Italian coochie, white woman coochie? What's the more vegan friendly
I
option?
like how you separated the
Alright.
two. I'm very happy with it.
White and Italian, yeah.
Let's have
Yeah.
no illusions about where the Italians lie.
Well, we're talking Southern Italian, Northern Italian. Northern Italians, they're fucking basically French. Once you get up to a certain
Italians are
point.
basically black if you're listening to Chris Cuomo.
No, I gotta go with the hometown team on this, and Beaner Coochie is really
Beaner Coochie.
where it's at.
Wow.
Slightly warmer than your average white pussy. So
Yeah. Mhm.
So well, that's taste wise, but is it as nutritious? That's what we're asking.
Oh, it's plenty nutritious, I'm telling you.
plenty
it's-
nutritious.
It's,
I'm gonna Google this. I'm gonna
got
see what kind
everything
of nutritional value eating cooch actually
everything
has.
a
I'm
growing
curious
boy
now.
needs, I would say.
Everything. I would
If
Google
there,
it.
if
but
there
I'm
is a
afraid
nurturing
everything-
coochie out there, it is definitely Beaner Coochie.
mhm.
Okay. right,
Nutritional
yeah.
value of eating pussy.
Yeah.
Are you really looking at that at your phone right now? Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
Siri's got to have something.
Let's see. Listen up, dudes
You're
and ladies.
seriously looking
These are
this
the
up. I encourage everyone to go to the video. If you're not watching the video and you're just listening, to go to this part of the video and look how determined Jimmer's face is to find out the
gotta
nutritional
get to the
value
bottom
of
of this
Coochie
here.
Coo.
Timestamp 3320.
Let's
Well,
see.
no, it's not gonna be 3320 because I'm gonna cut the beginning part out, so it'll probably be like 3220.
Fuck. Okay.
What's the
Fine.
nutritional value of vaginal fluid?
He's gonna be at this for a couple minutes. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, give me
Yeah.
a little bit here. I gotta like sort through like actual answers and not like some.
So while
Oh,
he's
you know what?
doing
We got one
that-
from Vice.
Oh
I feel
my
like the one
god!
from Vice is gonna
Oh.
actually be correct because they always talk about sex because none of these people have it.
Yeah.
Your
None of
vagina.
these people have it.
You got to keep, writing about it. So your vagina is full of the same probiotic bacteria that's packed into every health-conscious product from yogurt to kombucha. If the vagina is full of good bacteria and people are eating as much good bacteria as they can, why not eat pussy? It's a good question.
Oh, you know what's funny is that this lady that I know was talking about keeping her pH, her coochie pH in
I've heard of that,
balance,
yeah.
or whatever. Like I was
That
like,
shit's
yo,
important.
eating right,
Trust me.
like
I
to keep
tasted
it
the ones
balanced.
that
I
they
was like,
weren't
yeah, if you
balanced,
got a
bro.
balanced pH in that coochie, I bet you the nutritional value is A1 steak
Yeah, if it's too
sauce.
acidic, I mean, it kills the nutrients, right? I don't know.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
that seems science to me.
Man, I wish
Yeah.
after all like the technical shit this morning, because I was telling Fonzie before we started, man, like I was I was trying to fix this shit for like ever, and I was not getting anywhere. Like it would start off when I would reboot my modem and everything was
Okay.
fine, and then it'd fuck up again. And I'll be like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I almost was just like, you guys just do it without me today. That's how. That's
Real
Yeah, it
quick
was
though.
pretty fucking
Shout
awful.
shout out to Vice for one of the best things I've ever read. How much bacteria is in a serving of pussy? I'm gonna have to give it to him for this one.
Yeah, they
how
would.
much is in.
You
What
give
is
us
what is a
answer?
serving of? How do they measure a serving of pussy? Like what is the unit?
I guess
bet-
the whole thing.
like,
According to
All right.
Dr. Mendesaurus, there are about 100,000 to 100 million lactobacillus cells per gram of vaginal fluid. So
Oh, so
for
it's a
one
gram.
face
Okay.
humping session to
gram.
have probiotic properties, the humpy would have to swallow between 10 and 10,000 grams of vaginal fluid. That's very doable for me. So
yeah.
I don't know. I guess
You're
my
killing
immune
your
system
twink
has got a lot.
status if you're talking about drinking cooch.
Yeah,
Juice.
right? Like,
trademark.
My immune system is great. You know, I was in contact with people at Corona like several times, either at work or at home. Didn't get it. I'm built different, so
Coronavirus is fake and gay. Okay.
the health
Science is
benefits are
fake.
going
I
down.
don't care.
you
I
don't
wanted to
need
say,
the
like,
now we can't
vaccine.
post
Just
this on-
eat pussy and you'll be immune to the bullshit virus.
So
Now
all
The
we
these,
can
government
post on
suppresses
Twitter.
our cures.
okay, so it seems like
So-
all these kind of just talk about like the the bacteria like that you can like
yeah, like the
immunity build up.
pH, like the whatever, like I mean, because
Well, yeah, because
your
it's
vaginas are
basically like
self-cleaning.
it's
right?
kombucha. You know, it's like they used to settle the stomach.
Yeah, I mean you
make
could
sure-
probably make moonshine with the yeast from a cooch if you, or a guy's throat from sucking too much cock. Either way,
I know somebody's tried to make bread from cooch yeast.
that sounds
That,
disgusting.
I think it's on Vice too, as well.
I'm not looking
if-
that one up.
or
if you
Jezebel or some
If
shit.
it's
I forget, one of
anything
those.
like that, you know it's on Vice. Like
this
if you have,
trans
ridiculous
queer
idea-
femdom is revolutionizing baking by making vag bread. Is probably
I'm
That's
not
actually
saying
the
I
headline.
wouldn't-
You know
No
what?
joke.
That's
have
not.
it, I
It's
just don't
probably
think
not
I'm
even
sure.
exaggeration. It might have even been like fucking a trans dude who like still had their vag and was like, I'm gonna make some bread.
Wasn't it-
Yeah.
I don't know if it was like a fake,
it's not
fake
even-
headline, but like a trans ketamine dealer in Venezuela is doing
Yeah.
something.
yeah.
So what are you guys doing? Are you like bored over there? It's like I was like I on the way to work today, I was like a beer because I didn't want to repeat of last week. But after all the shit today, I'm like, I think I'm gonna just continue because we're always gonna have problems. Well, it's like we're gonna start early today, a little early.
You have to personally pay for better internet for your work. Is what you...
I can't, dude. I'm in the middle of nowhere. Like I'm
Oh.
stuck with DSL, or I
Yeah.
have to get Starlink. Well, my luck is we get Starlink, right? And then it would be like every minute a 30-second disconnect. That would be my luck. Like I paid $500 to get the hardware, paying $90 a month for the satellite internet. Yeah, it's fast and great, but I drop out every fucking minute or two. That would be my luck. So I'm just whatever. The phone seems to be working. So after today's, I'll check to see how much data I used. But man, I could really use a beer right now. And the closest store is 25 minutes away. So I can't even do it. Maybe I will.
Yeah, maybe this is
so-
like the West Coast urbanite in me, but it amazes me that people still use DSL. I didn't realize.
I don't have a
Shit,
dude,
that
I
was
don't have a
so-
choice. That's the problem.
That's-
Because I mean, maybe we'll do an episode on the whole internet thing at some point. Because the problem is you got the FCC regulations, right? To where you've got like any new up and comer has to notify anyone else, like on poles, like in towns, right? Like because they have to move their wiring before you could put your wiring up. But
So
Comcast
basically
can-
means that the incumbent competition gets to rule on who competes with them.
Yeah, exactly. Like that was the thing with
Like the hospital
with-
racket that they
with
have.
Google Fiber when they're trying to roll it out in Nashville, is that someone tried to use it it was like a net neutrality thing. Like, see, like we need the government to whatever. It's like, dude, it was the FCC that told Google they couldn't do shit because Nashville tried to let them go ahead and start attaching before Comcast was able to move, get enough space for them to put it in. So Comcast appealed to the FCC, and the FCC shot Nashville down and said, no, you have to allow Comcast to move the wires first because that's the FCC regulation. is you have to allow them to do it. So it's like time on that. But then the local governments usually want their startup permits cost, which is usually about as much as it is to lay the fiber anyway. So the fiber's already fucking expensive, and then you just doubled it because the government wants their action right then and there. So that's the issue. Like, it's not, people think it's like, oh yeah, well the free market, quote unquote, isn't working. No, you're not
Yeah.
allowing the free market to work because you're relying on these government regulations and the local regulations, like federal, state, local. All this bullshit is killing it. That's why most people only have fucking one internet provider or one or two or something, and usually they're probably in cahoots if you have two, to where you can't really get a better price or something. But yeah, out here in the middle of nowhere, no one's gonna pay all that fucking money to do another fucking line. Like, if no cable's gonna run through here because there's not enough customers, right? And the
Right.
cost doesn't
And
make any fucking sense.
And this is the thing about, like, you're talking about how people point this out and go market failure type shit. And really, this is like the crux of most of people's like the hump that they can't get over in terms of like seeing how markets are better than governments and sort of, because they have no frame of the scale of how much government fucks with things and how expensive government makes things, and when government makes things more expensive, some shit just doesn't get done at all, right? Like, some people look at the expense and go, fuck that shit, it's not worth it, it's not worth the money, so it never comes about. And so it really seems like you're talking about some fucking magic when you say no, like, it would exist. There's a demand for it. The market just needs to be freed up to allow it to happen. They think that it's like, oh, so it's just gonna fucking pop into existence. We're just gonna educate, broke people and feed, the poor, and we're gonna take care of, cancer patients that don't have money. It's just the market's just gonna do it through pure magic. It's like, nah, you don't understand what's in the, like, we want to do it, right? We want to take care of poor people, we want to take care of cancer patients even if they don't have the money to pay. Like, this is obviously a thing that society cares about, because every time I bring up this is the thing that I bring up all the time, is that it amazes me that people think this shit won't get done when it's the first thing people bring up the second that you talk about taking the government away. When you talk about taking the government away, people are like, well, then how are people going to get hospital care? And how are people going to get roads? And how are people going to get these things? It's like, because all of you are worried about who's going to get it. Because every time I say that the government's not going to do it, you people bring up the fact that it's not going to get done. You're going to do it. You guys want to do it. Everybody wants to do it.
Oh, I
The
have to
government
do it
doesn't need to
myself? I just want somebody I never meet who just takes my money and just does it for me, and I have no say in
Yeah.
the process. And then the only thing I do is I get mad at people on the internet when they don't like it. That's my contribution.
It's the most pants on head fucking stupid
Well,
return.
That's the thing. What I do now is when people bring up with like, well, without the government, who's going to do this? I'm like, well, with the government right now, like feeding the poor, you have plenty of articles of cops coming out and pouring bleach on meat where people are trying to feed the fucking homeless because they didn't have a permit or something, or you couldn't verify where the meat came from.
Or
So
that
these
most
people are
recent
coming
one,
literally-
what was it, like in Portland, where like some Costco or some grocery store had like a dumpster full of food they had to get rid of, and like people were like, well, we're just gonna go take this because most of this is still actually good, and the cops actually went and were like, no, you can't, and we're like arresting people trying to take the food and like give it to people who like needed it, and like, yeah,
That's not property rights. That's just some weird fucking dystopian bullshit, And yeah, so it just amazes me, all of these like objections, and
literally-
it's because they don't.
It's kind of
understand
like how
much
the government
is in the way.
subsidizes the dairy industry.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, like, so there's that example, and like healthcare stuff. It's like, if you all healthcare, you got to buy in your fucking region, right, or your state, because here where I live, I only have one provider for healthcare, right, and then there, I think up northern of the state, like you have like 2 to 3 options, which might help with something, but it's like you're linked into your state or maybe even region where you live to one healthcare provider. Could you imagine if you could buy healthcare from California, for example, or New York? What would the cost you if there was actual competition in that? Right? Well, no, it would be worse. They would charge the price. I fucking saw some article the other day about how taxation isn't theft, right? Because then one of the points they were trying to make was that, well, government services are cheaper anyway, like are cheaper than it would be privately. I'm like, those services, like the DMV, for example, the only reason they're quote unquote cheap is because they're already getting fucking subsidized by the government. So naturally, they can do it for a certain price because they're already getting taxpayer funding. Because as far as I'm aware, the DMV isn't solely funded from the fucking getting your ID cards or vehicle registration or any of that.
Yeah, when you have like a unlimited tap to fucking, draw off of, you could run at a loss, or you could run cheaper than other companies who actually have to turn a profit in order to stay afloat, right? To generating revenue, generating profit. This is actually a thing. Like, people think it's so evil, right? But a company that generates profit is generating use for society, right? Like, they wouldn't generate a profit if they weren't useful to people, because people wouldn't give them the fucking money, right?
Exactly.
So this whole evil profit shit is just a signal that's like, well,
I
they
want
should
the
be
post
doing a
office
good
to
fucking
die.
job.
That was the other thing with
The
the post
office
office.
could
Where
fucking get
I was
bad,
I was talking to some dude about the fucking post office, for example, because obviously they're a monopoly. Shout out to Spooner, my guy, R.I.P. Good
yeah.
guy. But
Made his own shit, right? He's like, fuck this
I
shit.
was saying, I'm like, because people's argument about like the post office, for example, is that they were running a profit for years until Congress forced them to like pay for 40 years in advance, 50 years, some ridiculous like pension funds
Yeah.
up front. Right, they totally fucked them. I'm like, oh, so you do see how the government can fuck up businesses, huh? That the business you like so much. But I'm like, obviously they're going to be running at a profit before that because they're a fucking monopoly. And then I had this guy I was talking to say like, well, what's the problem with the post office being a monopoly? I'm like, are you fucking serious? This guy was talking about the T-Mobile Sprint merger when it first got announced. It was like, well, great, there's going to be a monopoly. I'm like, you can't fucking pick and choose. If it's just because it's a government like it's a government monopoly, so it's fine. You can go fuck yourself. It's either all monopolies are bad or they're all good. And obviously, we know where we're at. Monopolies are fucking bad for good reason.
All monopolies are government monopolies.
Yeah.
That's a good example.
Yeah, exactly. Only reason a monopoly can exist in today's world is because of the government. It's not because of private companies. It's because we've got private companies with the most money right now are in bed with the fucking government and all this copyright bullshit. And
Yeah,
yada, yada,
in
other
markets,
things.
you might have a certain firm that's doing better than the rest of them, but their success is only predicated on the degree to which they provide something to everybody who wants to buy shit, because they can't use the government to scurry around that sort of motive, and that's why. Go ahead.
Raise the minimum wage.
I'll use a good example. Actually, so at the dealership I work at, I had a guy come in, I think it was like Saturday, and I delivered the car for him Monday. The guy came in Saturday, and he came in, he was like, yeah, I was just at this other dealership, same brand, but another dealership like 20 or 30 minutes out of ways. And he's like, yeah, they were jerking me around. I just wanted like a no bullshit like price. Like, nope, we're not gonna really haggle. I just wanted a price. They gave me one, and they said the DMV fee was gonna be like $400, which is bullshit. The car, this was for swapping plates. Swapping plates is like stupid cheap. It's like, I mean, relatively speaking, for getting DMV fees for plates, it was like $70, $90, something like that. Getting new plates is only like maybe $200 or less. It depends on the weight of the vehicle and how the DMV feels that day. But I've never heard $400. And he got jerked around there so bad, he said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna go somewhere else." And then he went to us, and I actually like my dealership for this, is because we don't really jerk them around. We don't really we'll tell them what the tax and fees are, because most people hide that shit until they do the buyer's order or whatever you want to call it. And I was able to get a deal because, one, we didn't jerk them around. I was upfront with the price, with the rebates. This is what you're going to be paying per month if you put this much down, and you're going to see on the buyer's order all the information you need to know before you go into finance. Finance is good, may fuck you or not. That's just on how diligent you are with the conversation there. That's not me.
Right.
But it's really, you can still make a profit, and you can still be a good business, and the margin might be smaller, but you're gonna get more business out of people as well. And if you had a monopoly, say for example, especially with car industry, if you had a monopoly on the car industry, forget it. It's like when people want to do this whole thing with well, we want to remove all car dealerships, and we just want to be able to order them online through one system. And boy howdy, how bad will that become? Because you think car dealerships are bad now, they would be monstrously worse, because Now
You don't get to talk to nobody. You got no say.
you're not talking to
Yeah.
anybody. Like if somebody came in and said, "Hey, I want this price. What can you do for me?" And then I'd have to tell them they had to put this much down. It's like, oh, well, I can't put that much down. And there's maybe a little bit of room on the car still, like maybe like another $10 per month difference, or probably less, honestly. Listen, give me a bottle of Guinness. Not get bottle of Guinness, but like a bottle of liquor, and you know what? I'll change the price. Fucking $40 bottle of liquor, and the price is gonna get changed. Or say,
Well, give me a handy in the bathroom. I'll get
give
that
me a
price
handy in the
down for you, bro.
bathroom, and the price is
Yeah.
gonna change. You get one from what would be a monopoly of these cars, because then now you have every different brand all under one roof. Which then, if you
Sucks.
order your car online, who the fuck are you gonna go to service to it? You're not gonna get your free oil changes. You're not gonna get the free or reduced price on your inspections, or like a service like percentage off fee or anything like that. You're now going to have to, guess what? Go to some random guy, or hopefully a mechanic personally, because otherwise you're fucked. And then
Yeah, I'm a beaner. I know like fucking 5 mechanics.
well, yeah, you're fine.
So,
Or like there's not, like, without a dealership, then where are you gonna get your car serviced? Are the service buildings still gonna be there? Like all this kind of shit, like monopolizing the car industry would be like one of the worst ideas ever. And I keep hearing people talk about it. And I get the point from the perspective of a consumer, as I am right now as well, like also looking into a car for myself that isn't like an old 300 that's just beating time itself. But like also you monopolize it. Like if you go to buy a Mercedes Benz, you want a certain level of quality when you're dealing with like buying the vehicle. Am I spending $100,000 on a fucking car like a douchebag? I want to be treated like the douchebag I am. Like, but if I'm buying like a fucking Hyundai, who gives a shit, right? Or I'm buying like a Ford pickup truck, who gives a shit? But the fuck are you gonna do? Like, okay, tax and fees are this. You can't argue the price. How the fuck are you gonna haggle? But now
And there's no
definitely
incentive to drop the price, because if it's a
There's-
one-stop shop, why the fuck
It's
would
like-
like you got to come to me
there's
anyway?
no incentive,
Exactly.
and there's a whole thing between invoice of a car and the sticker price. So the invoice is what the dealership will get the car for, and then sticker price is the suggested retail. And most of the time, people are buying somewhere around the sticker price. Maybe it's reduced a bit, maybe it's a little heightened depending on if it's a special car or it's a lease deal, and you could maybe fuck with the numbers. It really is dependent on that, but generally speaking, you're paying around sticker price for the car, maybe less. Generally, if you haggle
Not
enough.
me.
Not you in your case, sure.
Or if you've watched King of the Hill, then you never pay sticker price.
You never pay sticker price.
No, in the end of the day, you're technically not, because you have to go into finance. No, sticker price is before taxes, so include taxes and fees, because you have to have DMV fee. You have to have your tire waste fee. It's like $1.93. Inspection fee, it's like $10. Of course, it is dependent on different states. It may be slightly different, but you also have the dealership's fee. The dealership fee can range very much. Like certain dealerships I've seen as low as like a couple $100, and like a pre-owned like dealership will like have their dealership fees be hidden in like 3 different ways, where it's like several thousands of dollars on top of the car. And then you go into finance, and then the finance office, they're going to try to sell you protections on the car, tire and wheel, perforation, like VIN etching, VIN stickers, stuff like that, all that kind of stuff. And they're all like proper services. Tire and wheel protection is pretty good for a lease, because you are going to scratch those motherfuckers up. And we had a guy who got into an accident, and like it was $7,000 worth of damages just on the tires and wheels alone,
Jesus.
and he only had to pay like $1,000 out. That's a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
Now, depending on how much he paid monthly because of that, you could argue differently on that. So you never do pay sticker price, because you have to include tax and fees, and you have to include whatever you do with financing, because usually you want to buy some type of protection when you go in there, because quite frankly, you're buying the car just dead ass out. You get some scratches on it when you return it. Some companies will give you a credit line of like $400 or $500 or $800. Really depends on the brand, on how much damage they'll take the car back for before they start making you pay for it. Say just $500, you got a couple scratches, you're not paying for the damage. You have a big fucking dent, you're paying for the damages, unless in finance you get some fucking protection bullshit. But like,
my problem is the fact that I like after leasing a car, I take it out and go jousting with it, and that's why they won't take it back.
Welcome to Jackass.
Yeah, I would say that might be an issue for you. I know.
The
I remember
finance
watching that a while ago.
the finance stuff is funny. Go like the finance guy for when I just bought this van, like fucking probably hates me because I was like, nope, 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 I don't care, I don't want
Yeah.
it. Just go fuck yourself. But what people don't know, and I'm saying that out for anyone that if you buy a car and you get a warranty on it, remember that if you trade in before the life of that warranty, you can get that money back, prorated or whatever. Like so, if you pay like $2,000, because I just got $1,400 back for my Highlander, I traded in because I think it was like $2,000 for coverage for like I don't know an additional 6 years or 8 years or something like that. And then, but because I traded it in, I can get the money back. So I got 1,400 and some change back. People don't know that because they don't
Sooner
tell
than you got it
that.
from Biden. Yeah, well.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
you
that's
can
supposed to be
also
hitting. That's supposed to be hitting tomorrow.
you can
Mine
also
already hit.
give someone else
Actually,
the
I already got it.
warranty too, depending on the brand. Sometimes you can transfer a warranty. I mean, for most warranties, it's really not a big deal. Hyundai, Kia, and Genesis is really like one of the few brands that's like a really long warranty, where it's like 10-year, 100,000 miles for like the powertrain alone. Where like actually like giving someone else that warranty to the next person who owns it is actually pretty viable. But like I think like BMW pretty much just gives you like it's a 3-year like lease warranty and that's it pretty much, and like some change for like some of the other warranties. But also, if you are giving someone else a car and you have a warranty on it, find out if they have though if the warranty is transferable. It might be at a reduced amount, but it's still good. If you're going to give it to somebody and you want a little bit more money out of the car, say I can transfer you the warranty for like $500 more, whatever. You know, generally it's not going to be super long warranty left over unless it's one of those three brands I just mentioned. Because otherwise, I think this next longest one's like 7 years. I think that's Subaru. I want to say it's Subaru.
So maybe you can confirm this for me. I think is it true that like with BMWs the warranty covers everything except for the turn signal, which is why drivers don't like to use it so
Oh no,
much. They
turn
don't want to
signals
wear
are
it
an
out.
aftermarket part. You have to buy those separately. Actually, you can't. They don't come with the car. It's actually like you'll see on the window sticker, so you have like your standard features on the car depending on the trim, and then it'll have the like what's
Extra
added
shit.
with
Yeah.
the like higher up trim. So say you got the stock one is gonna be on the left side or the previous trim before you went to the next one, and then the one next to it's gonna show you all what's added to it. And then certain, for example, like carpeted floor mats or like all weather mats, whatever, are usually an additional thing on top of like whatever else. It's like a couple $100 at most. Stupid
BMWs is
bullshit.
standard, and then
For
the turn
BMW,
signal.
yeah, for BMW it may be standard, but then on that additional, you could, for example, go through the parts department. The
Add turn
turn
signal. Yeah.
signals, they don't come with the car.
Yeah.
Most
Which makes
people
a lot
buy
of
them
sense.
just to have them for legal reasons,
Right.
but they're only there for like show for the police. Yeah, I don't know a single
It's like a
BMW
hunk
who.
of plastic that just kind of like
Yeah, it really is
jammed in
borderline
there.
useless. My brother actually has a BMW, and the turn signals in there. I try messing with them. They just don't work.
The owners will
So
stop you too. They'll be like, "Yo, buddy, don't touch that. That's
Yeah, I've seen other
so
BMW owners like try to
we're
stop me
getting
when I
to
try to
the
mess with them.
about our mark, and I think Ben, yeah, you got a Brazilian scheduled for later, right?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I got two weddings, one of which I'll probably be able to go to. So I wanted to be fresh for all the single ladies out there in Utah.
You want to wax like your ball sack
Fresh.
or what?
No, so actually just the taint, like the balls are gonna stay as they are.
yeah.
Just the taint, that's it.
Just a scrungle.
Just the
Snoop in a
scrungle.
salad, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Oh god,
He's
this is
basically
whatever.
doing like the ball sack equivalent of an undercut.
Just about.
Yeah.
It's like
They
the
got that-
opposite of a
that-
mullet. Got party in the front and
that straight
business
up
in the
cut.
back, baby.
What's up, baby?
Yeah, just so your stubble can rub up against your crotch.
Oh god, I couldn't even imagine.
Oh,
Mm.
nah, that's why I trim down there, baby. I don't shave it. You gotta trim it. That's just like a fresh, like baby smooth situation.
If you go skin smooth, you're supposed to rub the pores to get the skin out because then it builds because the hair builds up underneath and that's where you get the red irritation.
I still would
So you're
rather. I
supposed to
don't like
massage
the
it?
idea of having stubble down there. I've done
You
that
just
a
gotta
few
lotion
times.
it
I'm not
up,
a
you know?
fan.
Dude, fucking shave your asshole. I'll massage it for you.
Just
Don't
gotta
worry.
Okay.
just dip it in lotion.
I got you.
That's what you gotta do. You gotta squat it in
Dip,
and then just
Yeah,
get
like
squatted in.
and
the top of my
Or a little
head
astroglide.
is
I could help you out with that too, bro. Don't worry about it.
as smooth as it gets. Everywhere else has got like not an absurd amount of hair, but enough that shaving it would become a problem down the line. So I just do not shave any. Like I got a little like treasure trail down here, and I mean, my crotch,
You're
bro.
just okay. So now you're admitting you're an otter. I don't get like. So do you want to be an otter or not? Like, what is it?
Yeah, the case for
You're like,
otter grows
"I'm
every
like,
day.
All right. We're done. We're done here for today.
All right.
Fonzie, thank you for coming on to talk about the
Cool.
moral consistency of animals. And to everybody else, we'll catch you next week.
Twin
Latest.
camera. Okay, we're good.